Sure, this question is from Sarah. And Sarah says, I've been having some trouble getting my horse to stop eating grass when I'm leading her on it and trying to work on it. She will constantly try to push me over and fight to eat the grass. She's a 3-year-old appendix and has 24/7 access to hay and water. I've only had her for a couple of months. Okay, Sarah, so this is a common thing, and there's some variables that make it more challenging for some horses than others. So for some horses, they don't have grass. That's how it can be in California. A lot of our horses don't have access to grass. So they see grass and they're like, oh my gosh. And it can be really, really challenging. Or we have horses that have insulin resistant or metabolic issues or whatever it might be, where they can't have the grass that they get to see all the time. And that can be really challenging. So, if they have access to grass, I found that working horses on grass is no big deal. I'll just, like horses that live inside even, I'll turn them out all day long, but they can be on lush grass. But you go out and they're like, hey, I'm ready to do this. So the more they're interested in the training, the easier it makes it. But when grass is a rare commodity, it's just a challenge. In New Mexico, we don't really have grass, and we have some green grassy things that aren't lush grass, but some of the horses will die for it. It's in them. They get plenty to eat. And I have food. So the thing is, it's not really about that they're hungry. It's a need. That's the grass, which is a very high value and a rare thing. And it's also in them to graze. So grazing is pretty hardwired in them. So you got kind of a bunch of pieces there that you're kind of working against. Nonetheless, we still have things we can do to help them to focus a little bit better. So I'm going to tell you a story, because I had a horse, Bugs, and Bugs got sick, and he went to he had to go to the veterinary clinic, and he had a lower intestinal colic that went on and on and on. They didn't know what it was from, but basically had inflamed lower intestines. So he couldn't have hay, and he was on reduced grains. So he's on this massive diet. And so at the veterinary clinic, they had some planted grass. He didn't get to see grass. He didn't live on grass. He didn't have access to a paddock. So they would take him out for 10-minute sessions a day to graze. And so I came in and said, so how's that going? Because of course he's not going to want to come up from the grass. No horse that they had dealt with wants to come up from the grass typically, and he's hungry and he's on a diet, and everything about him says he wants to have that. So so what I did is I went out and thought I need to help him understand how to do this, because of course he's dragging his head to eat it, because what happens is when the person pulls their head up, that's it, you're done. And so that predictability, they're like, well, then I'm not taking my head up because that's the end of all my fun. And this is really valuable to me. I think it hurts two things. One, they really want it and we say no. But it also, I think it says, I don't care what you want. That's me. And that's being anthropomorphic, I know. But I think there's a certain degree of partnership that comes when I see what my horse likes, wants, and values. And I think, okay, but you can't just do that anytime, anywhere. But let me say, I get it, I see that it's valuable to you, and I'm going to see that you get some of that. But he can only have 10 minutes at a time, so I saw this quandary of I can't leave you out and let you graze, so I had to kind of sort this out a little bit. So what I did with him, so when I would go to pull his head up, because the vet techs have already been working on it, and he's been a little bit, like most horses are, not really wanting to come up. So when I needed to pull his head up, because I'm teaching him on the fly, this wasn't something I could prepare him for. I didn't think about this. He was kind of newer to me, and we had a lot of other pieces to deal with. So I would have to pull his head up. I would pull it up. But as soon as I felt like he would go, okay, I would point him right back down. So that he's like, okay. So that as soon as he came up and he relinquished and he got soft, he said, okay, I'm with you, I would point him right back down. So what I'm addressing there is I'm saying the lifting your head up doesn't mean the end of all your fun, which is what you think it means. So now start to change the predictability of this pattern. And then I would do it again, and I would do it again until I didn't have to pull his big giant insistent head up. I could just pretty soon, and it took, within a week, I'd say, though, because I was pretty diligent with it, pretty soon I could just go tink, and he would lift his head up. But there's a couple things I did here in between. So what I would do is I'd pick his head up, and then I would point him right back down. So pretty soon he's like, okay, I'll pick my head up, no big deal, because I'm going right back down. And then what I started doing is going, okay, I'm going to pick your head up, and we're going to walk a step, and I'm going to point your head back down. And then I'm going to ask you to pick your head up, as opposed to I kind of was making him pick his head up. But now, I was going, okay, can you pick your head up? And he's like, yes. And I would point his head right back down. Now, the other quotient there that was important is I started noticing what did he tend to prefer in the grass. So did he like that patch of clover? Did he like that long stringy stuff? Did he like that? Whatever I felt like he was kind of making a preferential treatment towards, or he munched it a little more vigorously, I'd pay attention. And when I would see that, I would ask him to lift his head up in an area and then take him to another patch that was the stuff he really liked. So then he started kind of letting me pick out what his favorite grass was. So I would let him kind of chew through that part until he kind of went off to another area, pick him up, ask him to go. So now we start walking further away. Then the next thing I started doing is I would pick it up and I would walk to the pavement. Because once we got to the pavement, he kind of thought, now I'm going back to my intensive care unit, my stall. This is done now. And so what I do is then I'd walk him to the pavement, and he'd be walking nicely, and I'd turn around and take him back. So now he started realizing walking further and walking to the pavement isn't necessarily the end. So I could walk further, and then I would come back. So I really broke up the predictability of the pattern and what it was telling him was happening. So that part was really important. Another part that I do quite often is I will also have my side bucket. I'll wear 2 side buckets a lot of times. One will be stuffed with fresh grass, stuffed with freshly picked grass, and the other will be stuffed, I'll have food in it, just a regular whatever I use. And actually, I'll pick a higher value something or other. So while I may use hay pellets a lot, in this situation, I use something a little more high value because I'm competing with high value. So I want to have something that's extra intriguing, and some pieces of carrots and some pieces of apples and some grain and some whatever things they like, that I also have those, but I'll wear 2 side buckets so I can grab a handful of the grass and give them the grass. So I think those are all things that you can do to start to build a reinforcement history with them listening to your cue to lift your head and let's walk away. Now, this cue, I was teaching it on the fly because I'm at the vet hospital. Now we're in the thick of it. It's not like I had time to do it. But you can teach them to lift their head up and put it on a cue. So you can teach a head up cue, and that can help too. Essentially, I did teach a head up cue. I just kind of had to teach it on the fly. But you can teach it in the arena where you say lift your head up and make it so doggone reinforcing that they love that behavior. And that part will take the tug out of it that I had to do in my situation. So you can get him where he learns to lift his head up, you reinforce, and then walk on your way, do whatever you want, and work on that so it becomes one of their favorite behaviors. And then when you go out to a grassy environment, you already have a cue that can help you a bit to ask them to lift their head up. Because, like I said, I wasn't anticipating I was going to be in that situation. So those are some ideas of things you can do. There's always more things you can do, but those are the things I've had the most success with the most horses. So those kind of techniques have been really helpful to me. And if you're not really good at the grass yet, I avoid it. So if I know that I have a problem getting by the grass, I stay in the middle of that road where I am as far away from either side, or I'm between them a little bit, whatever I can do to help set them up for success. So I'm not putting myself in that predicament if I can help it until I'm ready to try it out a little bit. So those are my thoughts. And Sarah, I feel your struggle because we've all been there and having to deal with that. And if you can find time to let them have some grazing time, remember this is something they really value, and use it as a reinforcer for them. So when you think, okay, he really likes it, and you've dealt with it a little bit, maybe you're doing your other sessions, and then say, this is great, I'm going to go take you to graze for 10 minutes. And then you can practice this little exercise in the grazing area, but you're also giving them some time to graze. If they want to graze really badly, now I know some of the insulin-resistant horses we have a harder time with, but if they want to graze really badly and we just say no forever, then they're going to feel more desperate about it. But if we can say, okay, we'll take you, but it's at I will initiate this, please let me initiate it. So it's a way that we can really help build that partnership and build that bond and build that relationship, because we say, I hear you, I know it's important to you, and I'm going to see that we make some time for for what you value. Anyway, Sarah, I hope that helps you. If you have more questions, you or anybody else, please don't hesitate to reach me at Ask Shawna. And that you can find my Ask Shawna page on Facebook, but really the question area is on my website, which is www.on-target-training.com. And you can find my Ask Shawnas, the place to submit, the place to watch the videos, as well as you can find my podcast player, the podcast. So Equine Clicker 101 and I don't know that I've done one on grass. Ooh, I should. That will be coming up in the spring for sure. But anyway, so there's 30 episodes there, so there's lots of things you can search for because a lot of these techniques are little nuggets that are in a lot of the episodes. So there you go. It's information for everybody. And one last thing, I encourage you also to go to TerraNovaTrainingCenter.com, TerraNovaTrainingCenter.com. You can find that if you also search Shawna Karrasch. You'll find On Target, you'll find Terra Nova, and you can search all those things. Go sign up for our newsletter on Terra Nova, and you will be able to stay abreast of what we're doing, what we're up to, and what's happening, where we're going. And so that's a great way to stay in touch and keep track of what we're up to out here. Anyway, so until next time, Sarah, enjoy getting your horse on target. Bye.